Well, what do you do when you spend years collecting vintage memorabilia from the past stars of the silver screen? Open your own museum, of course.
Oh, that's what the answer is.
Right?
Yeah, it makes perfect sense, Michelle. Open your own museum. That's just what our next guest is doing. He's a familiar face, as we've covered his incredible collection of original Hollywood props and costumes before. Terry Dennison is his name. Welcome back to the Morning Mix,
Well,
Terry.
thank you very, very much. I'm glad to be here.
I'm so excited for you right now, Terry, because that collection that you showed us years ago in the Hastings Museum is getting its own spot. Tell us about Just Off Broadway.
Just off Broadway. Well, I live on Broadway in Hastings. There's a theater on Broadway named after my mom and me, the Dennison Performing Arts Center. That's on Broadway. So there was a dentist office behind my house that had been empty for a while. And everything that the Bonnie Geddes at the foundation tried to do for me just kind of fell through. She tried and tried, but it all fell through. So my friends and one of my cousins said, why don't you consider the dentist office behind your house, where I used to go to get my teeth cleaned. And I love the architecture inside. So we checked into it, and I bought that building. And it's going to be turned into a museum by the end of the spring, or maybe the first part of summer. They're painting now. The carpet goes in soon. The laminate goes in.
Wow.
Then the cupboards go where they're going to go. Then we got to clean the chandeliers. We've got 7 chandeliers from the North Star in Lowell. Oh, they're great.
Oh,
they're
my gosh.
great. And then we have all these things I've collected.
Well, let's talk about that.
Actually, the building is called Just Off Broadway because it's just behind my house on Colfax.
Just off Broadway.
Right. Just off Broadway.
Perfect.
I think so. I love that name.
It is.
I love that name. But it's not just Broadway. It's going to be Hollywood and Broadway and television. So there'll be costumes, props, awards they've won, things from their homes. Posters. I've just recently got a letter that Ginger Rogers wrote to a man who gave her some harp music. And I've got a denim jacket. You may have seen her, not a jacket, a shirt that she had made. With all the movies she ever made are embroidered on that shirt.
Yeah, you have, Terry, there's no denying that you have some of the most unique and original pieces for anyone who loves theater or movies.
Well, remember when you came down the first time and you called the library and said, does Terry have those original pictures of his mother wearing all those costumes the day he came back from California? Well, I still haven't found them, but I will find them.
Okay, Terry.
You will see those eventually.
What did you bring today?
Well, today I brought a couple of things that I thought I could take out on a cold day. This is a coat that Rosalind Russell wore in the movie Gypsy that came out in 1962. And it's designed by Ori Kelly, and he won 3 Oscars for designing.
Wow.
And the most famous film that he designed was Some Like It Hot with Marilyn Monroe.
Sure.
He won an Oscar for that. This particular coat, Rosalind Russell wears in a scene that's really neat. She comes into this burlesque house in the dressing room, and she doesn't want her daughter to be in a burlesque house in the dressing room. So she comes in with this coat on. She has a lot to say, and then she takes it off and hangs it up on the wall, so it gets a lot of screen time. And what's really neat about it is that there are all these cutouts on the coat, and then if you open up the coat like we've already done, you can see how they actually did that. They just hand-stitched all these different colors.
Yeah.
The material that you see on the other side is shinier than this here. Yeah. But and then they had a little gold mesh over each of those holes, too.
It's stunning. It's like
it
a
really
mosaic.
is.
Yeah.
But what I like about it is that she wears it, talks a lot, then hangs it up. It's still on the wall. That's just before they do the number. You got to have a gimmick. Yeah, have you ever seen Gypsy?
I couldn't even test. Do you think I'm going to best your knowledge, Terry,
okay.
on classic films? Heck no, you know it all.
Because you have to have a gimmick as where the strippers show her what to do.
Oh, really?
You got to bump. How's
that go again, Terry?
Yeah.
Show me. Yeah, bump. All right. Okay. Well, I'll have to check out the movie. I'll have to check that out.
Or toot a horn, you know. I mean, it's just a lot of fun. It's just a great scene.
I love it. And then you also have a very special jacket over here,
Then
too.
I have a jacket, yes, and there were some pants, too. I didn't bring those today, but this was worn by Hervé Veliquez in Fantasy Island.
Yeah.
And the designer, we're not sure who designed it, but Mary Rose was in charge of costumes during the time he was on the show from 1977 to 1983. And everyone knows him because
he walks out.
The plane. Yes.
Yep.
And what people don't know is that he was actually a dwarf, but he wanted to be called a midget later on in his life. And what I just read recently was that he was very in pain a lot because his internal organs were the size of a regular person's.
gosh.
Oh, really?
In that little tiny body.
I had no idea. So
I didn't either.
Terry, you're going to be at the museum.
I was going to say, are you going to be giving the tours of the
going to be
museum?
giving the tours.
Okay, because that is required.
And I have a lecture room in the museum.
Okay.
Where I'm going to give lectures on all of the Hollywood, Broadway, TV, but that's just part of the museum. The other part of the museum, that's one of my favorite parts too, is where I'm going to have rooms for Waterford crystal, Dome crystal from France, Lally crystal from France, Jadro porcelains from Spain, Henri wood carvings from Italy, the mountain areas, Roy Dalton figurines from England. I've got just so many things to show, and I want to talk about all these things. And what I want people to do is to learn. This is an educational building. I want them to learn, and then learn to appreciate.
Yeah.
I don't think
the
it's
things.
well. Just based on what you brought today, that's not going to be hard to do because boy, that is amazing handiwork.
Right.
It is.
All of the pieces.
Well, and
are
the
gonna be
stories
that
behind
close.
them are what make them
Exactly.
priceless.
Yeah,
So,
good point.
Terry,
Well, as he knows, I have a Judy Garland costume for Easter Parade,
Yep.
June Allison from Words and Music, Jane Powell, 2 Weeks of Love. I mean, these are Russ Tamberlin from The Wonderful World of the Brothers Grimm. I mean, there's just so many things. And one of my recent purchases was a pajama top that Gary Sinise wore in Forrest Gump.
oh,
Okay.
wow.
It's not anything gorgeous,
No,
but it's
but I mean, it's part of a movie history.
And
Right?
Gary Sinise, I really like too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Great
we do like
actor.
Gary.
And then another one was Liam Neeson from Rob Roy. I've got 5 costumes from that movie.
Wow.
And we're going to have that all in one section.
Okay.
And
But
yes.
you need some help, right? To help support
Well,
this.
yes, because there are bills. We have to have a new parking lot. That's the expensive one coming up.
Yeah, and you've got a
Okay.
GoFundMe page, right?
I have a GoFundMe page. Yes.
All
Yes.
right. Perfect. Well, and hopefully this spring or by summer, this is going to be open.
Oh, by summer, yes.
By summer for sure. Okay, so there's the GoFundMe right there. Just off Broadway. You can email him at gmail.com. It's always a joy to have you.
Well, thank you very much. I've enjoyed it a lot.
Thank you so much.